Veuillez vous lever. Please be seated. Veuillez vous asseoir.
Nous sommes en audience publique, Monsieur le Président.
Open session, Your Honor.
Much. Ms. Brenton, please proceed.
Witness, just before lunch, we were discussing person number 11, and you told us that assailants caught up with him and cut him into pieces, threw his remains into a bag, and then they called us. How did they call you? Was this by telephone, or were you in the vicinity? How did they call you?
Kama vile nilivyokuwa nikisema.
As I said, we weren't far from there. Not far from them. But they were stronger than we were. When they thought that they had finished, they threw them in a bag and called upon us to come and get your bodies without life. Bodies.
How did they call you? Did they shout at you?
Ndio, na hasira.
Yes, but it was really with anger.
Did you go and collect the body?
Ndio, walipoenda.
When they left, we came back.
And what was the condition of person number 11?
Tukaona anapumua.
We saw that the body was still breathing. We saw he wasn't in fact dead yet. We got a vehicle quickly and we took him to hospital.
What became of him? Did he recover?
Ndio, amepona.
Yes. He was cured. But his human situation deteriorated.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean that he deteriorated?
Namaanisha vile.
I want to say the following. He had been cut up, and this meant that he mentally wasn't functioning as well as he had been doing previously.
Witness, I'd like to show you a document. Do you recall being shown a list of victims in Nyamumbi during your interview?
Sijakushika vizuri unavyouliza.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand you.
During your interview, were you shown a document with a list of many people who were injured or killed in Nyamumbi? Do you recall being shown that list?
hapa kwa koti.
Here you're referring to the court or elsewhere?
I'm referring to the interview when the statement was taken with myself and another investigator last year last year.
Nafikiri kwa sababu ni kitambo nikiona
Yes, I think that time has passed. If you show me this list, that would help me remember it.
Your Honour, if I can ask the court officer to bring up a document on the screen. It's confidential, so it shouldn't be broadcast to the public. I've discussed with my learned friends and they've agreed that I can lead the witness on this issue.
So what document do you want the court officers to pull up?
The ERN of the document is KenOTP 00110640, and it's at tab 3 of the bundle. If the court officer could then go to the second page, the ERN is 0641. If that could be enlarged perhaps once or twice more. Witness, can I ask you to put your glasses on and have a look at the document on the screen? If you look at the first column and focus on number 82, can you see number 82?
Ndio.
Yes?
Sorry, number 82 is not on my screen. The column with the numbers. Do you see it in yours? Yes, briefly, but it moved. Okay. Can we show it? Counsel, do you have a hard copy? If you, during your preparation, showed him a hard copy, can you try that? And then, without prejudice to the screen, the monitor still displaying the screen, so that he has both.
Perhaps I can ask the court officer to check whether or not he can see that on the screen, how what image is being displayed.
So number 82 appears on the screen he has. All right, maybe he's seeing something different.
I think perhaps the size of the monitors is slightly different.
Yes, I can also see from the station of the registry that they have a wider angle than I do. All right.
Witness, without mentioning the name of the person, seeing as we're in public session, is that one of the people who you witnessed being killed during the violence in Yamombi?
Ndio.
And is that person number 10 on the smaller list on the desk in front of you?
Ndio.
Just for the purposes of the record, if I can read into the details without mentioning the person's name: 60 years old, male, killed in Yamumbi, multiple cut wounds.
Mr. President, we do not really object to the information about this particular person, that in fact he did die on that day. But I'm afraid the learned prosecutor is perhaps using the wrong document, because what this document shows is that the person was admitted to hospital at Ward 6. Perhaps if my learned friend would use a document that was exhibited by the defense, it contains the name of this person as having died on that day. But this document only shows that the person was admitted into hospital for having suffered particular injuries. Thank you.
All right. Let's, counsel, if Ms. Renton, if the defense counsel do not object to the fact that the person you and the witness have in mind was in fact killed, do we need the document on the screen for that proposition?
If the defence agree to that, then it's not necessary, although the fact that the document corroborates the witness's evidence, I think, is helpful for the court record.
Well, there's no need for corroboration because the defense is not even contesting it.
Mr. President, the only issue for us here is the date at which the person died. And the testimony we have received so far from the witness is in line with the evidence in the possession of the defense. So once that evidence does not change, there is nothing to contest. That person died on the 31st of December.
So the person died on the 31st of December. That's your position?
That's our position, and that's the testimony as I understand it. If that is not contested by the prosecution, we can agree this. In any case, we even have the death certificate of the person.
Let's not go that far yet. Ms. Renton, do you have an issue as to the date of death?
No, that's fine. I thank my learned friends for that agreement.
So everyone is agreed that this individual died and the date of death was the 31st of December 2007.
Yes, Your Honour.
All right. Then we don't need to go through the problem of the document, showing it to the witness and asking one or two questions about that.
No, I can move on.
Unless you think you do need that.
No, I can move on now, Your Honour. Thank you.
All right. So let's not bother then with this what's on the screen witness.
Witness, person number 10, who we've just seen on the document on the screen, died on the 31st of December 2007. Did person number 11 that you've spoken about, was he injured before, on the same day, or after person number 10 died?
Sorry to interrupt you. Can you hold that question? You can ask it, but let's do something fast. Can we go on to private session, please?
Nous sommes en audience publique.
We're in open session, Your Honour.
Thank you. You are now asking questions about person number 11. Please proceed.
Witness, the evidence is that person number 10 died on the 31st of December. Was person number 11 injured on the day before, on the same day, or after person number 10 died?
Nafikiri namba 11 alikuwa mtu wa mbele.
I think that person number 11 was injured a bit before.
Witness, aside from the conflict in Yamumbi that you observed, do you know of violence in any other areas at this time? And for the moment, please just answer yes or no.
Ndio.
Could you please tell us the names of some of the areas that you know experienced violence at this time? Just the names of those areas, please.
Kulikuwa na Mailin.
There was Malin.
Kulikuwa Munyaka.
Munyaka. Kimumu. Kiamba. Burnt Forest. Kondo.
Kulikuwa Kamoyo.
Kamoyo.
Counsel, 1 second, please. Interpreters, do you have the transcript in front of you?
Yes.
If you go to line 4 on page 32, the word there, is it a bit or a short while?
Bit before, Your Honour. Un peu. Shortly before.
It's about whether the adjective describes the injury or the time. It's what we want to be clear on the record. So if you're correcting it might be a short while, I think we need to clear that up.
Short time before is when the injury occurred, Your Honour.
Thank you. Okay. Please proceed.
Witness, I'd just like to ask you about Mailine. How do you know about the violence in that area? Please refer to the list if necessary.
Nilijua kufuatia list namba 15.
I found out from person number 15.
When did you find out?
Wakati ya Mumbi ilifanyiwa kazi kesho yake.
When Yamumbi was attacked, I found out the next day.
How did you find out?
Nilijua kwa simu.
I had the information by telephone.
From person number 15, is that correct?
Ndio.
What did person number 15 tell you on the telephone?
Aliniambia
The person at number 15 told me that the Nandis had burnt houses in their area, and I told the person that they had done the same thing in our area too.
What did you do as a result of hearing this?
nilichukua jukumu.
I decided, well, you see, the person at number 15 did not have any means by which to come, so I had to go to their place. I went there.
When did you go?
Wakati alinipiga simu, nilikaa siku moja tu.
Shortly after that person called me, I spent one day, and then I went to their location the next day.
What was the ethnicity of the people who owned the houses that were burnt?
Wakikuyu.
They were Kikuyus.
How did person number 15 know it was Nandis that burnt the houses?
So kwa sababu huyu mtu namba 15
Answer. Person number 15 had bought some property from the Nandis, and people lived together, mixed up in that area. So they knew and spoke the Nandi language as well.
What did you see when you went there?
Nilipofika huko nilikuta nyumba.
Answer. When I arrived at their location, I found that the house had already been torched and had been destroyed. I saw other houses that had also been burned. So I called that person to ask them where they were, and they told me that they were at the church, at the cathedral. So I told them that I was at the location where their house, which had been burnt down, was found. I made a lot of efforts to leave that place as soon as possible. You see, I had a motorcycle and I was able to return to Yamumbi.
Which cathedral did they go to?
Cathedral iko town ndani Eldoret.
They went to the cathedral in downtown Eldoret, or in the center of the town in Eldoret.
Witness, I'd now like to ask you about Kimumu. How did you hear about the violence in Kimumu? If necessary, refer to the list.
Wakati moto vita ilianza. Kimumu.
Answer. At the beginning of the conflict, in Kimumu, there were some Kikuyus, as there were in Yamumbi. Inhabitants in those areas had picked up their telephones to call and find out what was happening elsewhere. So there was burning in Kimumu, and so they had thought they would flee to Yamumbu. Unfortunately, when they called, or when the people in Yamumbi were called, the answer was that Yamumbi was on fire. And when Kimumu was called, the answer also was that Kimumu was on fire. So we used the phone at that time to share this information or to communicate with each other, and that's how I came to find out that Kimumu was also ablaze.
Who called you and told you about Kimumu?
Kimumu sio mbali na Eldoret. Ni mahali ambapo unajua.
Answer. Kimumu is a neighboring locality to Eldoret. People often use their telephones to communicate in that area. So when people called at that time to say that there was fire in a particular location, we then knew that all of this was within the context of sharing information and communication to enable everyone to know what was going on where.
Did anyone in particular call you and speak to you about Kimumu? And if necessary, refer to the list.
Ndio.
Answer, yes. Person number 17. In fact, 2 people gave me that information. I was called by several others, but I remember clearly that I got information from those 2 persons. These people were very close to me.
What did they tell you about the fire in Kamumu?
Sauti ilikuwa moja. Wanandi wametuchomea.
They told me one thing only, namely that the Nandis had burned down their houses. So I told them the Nandis had done the same thing in our area. That is what we talked about, the only thing we talked about.
What is the ethnicity of person 17?
Ni Kikuyu.
Answer: Kikuyu.
Witness, I'd like to ask you some details about the losses you suffered as a result of the violence.
Before you do that, in the witness's testimony, he did talk about those two people, and looking at number 17, there are two people. Right. So your question about the ethnicity needs to be cleared up in that regard.
Mr. Witness, there are two people listed under number 17. Are they both Kikuyu, or if not, please tell us their ethnicity?
Wote ni wa Kikuyu.
They are both Kikuyus.
Your Honour, I'd ask that we move into private session to discuss the next issue.
Right, we'll go into private session. How long do you anticipate we'll be there?
5 minutes, perhaps.
5 minutes. Private session.
Nous sommes en audience publique, Monsieur le Président.
We're in public session, Your Honor.
Witness, I just have one or two questions now before I finish. Do you know a person by the name of Mark To?
Hebu
Mr. President, I think that this question is highly prejudicial. The witness has testified. He's been asked several times about meetings and who were present, and the witness has answered. To be just suddenly asked, do you know this person, just out of the blue like that, is highly prejudicial.
Objection is overruled.
Mr. Witness, I'll repeat my question. Do you know a person by the name of Mark To?
nafikiri sijui ni jina inapitana na ninavyojua.
I was wondering if you were speaking about Mark II.
Yes, sorry, that's my pronunciation. It's Mark II.
Ndiyo, namjua.
Yes, I know him.
Who is he? What can you tell us about him?
Makto ni mtu mmoja mwenye anajulikana sana.
Mark II was a very well-known person, very well-known. In politics. As a major figure.
Miss Rutten, you have to be careful now.
Yes, Your Honour, thank you, I'm guided. 1 second, please, with your leave.
You know what I mean? No leading question this time.
Witness, you've told us he's a very well-known in politics. Can you comment on his relationship with any of the other politicians in the Rift Valley?
Ndiyo. Kawaida ya watu wa Rift Valley, kama vile nilikuwa nimesema.
As I told you yesterday, when you speak about somebody from the region, the Rift Valley, and you tell them that it's a politician, so he's either an MP or a councillor. In general, when this person meet, they have discussions on the same subject, or different subjects, and their meetings are all similar.
Witness, you said you know Makto. Sorry, let me back up. You didn't say that yet. You said Makto is a well-known figure, a major figure. Do you know him yourself, personally?
Makto simfahamu, namfahamu kwa jina yake.
I don't know him. I know him by name only.
Jina kubwa.
It's a very well-known name.
Did you ever meet him?
Makto. Hapana, huwa siendi mikutano ya kisiasa.
No. I didn't participate in political meetings. But I know that he's a major figure.
No, I wasn't asking you about participating in a meeting with him. What I mean is, do you know him only by name, or is he somebody you have met face to face and you know much or anything about him beyond merely knowing his name and his reputation as a major figure in the area?
Ndiyo, sijakutana yeye mwenyewe, lakini
Personally, I never met him. But I knew him by name, and I know his home.
Ms. Rendon, proceed, knowing the limited nature of familiarity of the witness with the person of interest to you.
Thank you, Your Honour. I'll move on from that. Just before I finish, may I inquire from my learned friends from the defence for Mr. Ruto whether there's any dispute that the Mr. Ruto, the witness has been referring to, is in fact the accused?
Perhaps the question should be put to the accused, to the witness.
The difficulty is that the accused is not present in court today.
I think further identifying information could be elicited from the witness. I mean, who is he? What work does he do? What's his full name?
I'll proceed on that basis, thank you. Witness, you've referred a number of times during your testimony to Mr. Ruto. Do you know of Mr. Ruto's any other names?
hapana.
No.
In 2007, what was his position? What was his occupation?
Alikuwa mwanasiasa.
In 2007, he was in politics.
And today, do you know what his position is today?
Ndiyo.
Yes.
Please tell us.
ni makamu wa rais.
Vice President of the Republic.
The Republic of Kenya, am I correct?
Ndio.
Thank you, Your Honour. That's the end of my examination. Just one or two housekeeping matters with attending of the photograph.
And the PIS, I take it, or has it already gone in?
That's one of the other matters. In fact, we were wondering which version was the most appropriate one to tender into evidence, the full version or the shorter version that the witness has been referring to.
There's no harm in doing both.
Thank you, Your Honour, yes.
Hold on. Sorry. Was the first version ever used?
I don't believe it was ever referred to. The difficulty is that the shorter version only contains Swahili, so there's no explanation of the Swahili for someone that's looking at it later.
Well, we can have both in then, with that understanding.
Perhaps the shorter version can be an exhibit and the longer version an MFI, simply for reference purposes.
Both of them could be PIS. We know what's happened.
Yes, thank you, Your Honour.
Probably one could be the best PIS of the other.
The other matter would be an EBD number for the photograph that was presented to the witness.
Any objection?
No objection, Mr. President.
No objection, Mr. President.
Thank you. The photo ending with looks like the error again. I think the OTP here and the answer is 0155, I think. Yes. That goes in as the next prosecution exhibit.
Le second PI.
The second PIS will have the number KEN PIS 0001 0021.
Le document.
The document KEN OTP 00800155 will have the number EVD T OTP 00029 and it'll be registered as confidential.
Document sera.
This document will also be called Exhibit 29.
All right. Court officer, can we also on the PISs, we know you've logged in the second PIS, but the initial one we will also bring in, and if it is possible to number it 0021 bits, that's PIS 0001, something like that. If not, we just want to associate it with PIS number 21 in some way.
Monsieur le Président, la première.
Honour, the first version of the PIS distributed by the prosecutor already was given the number KEN PIS 0001 00017. Now we can reformulate the second PIS, KEN, PIS 0001 0017 bis.
Did you already put it in? Sorry, is it?
I didn't tender it, but perhaps it was tendered when it was first provided to the court officer. As pursuant to their instructions, we sent a version, and perhaps it's already been tendered, but I hadn't tendered it myself any earlier.
Yes, I don't recall that happening on the record as well, so there must be a confusion somewhere. Anyway, so that we are all on the same page, yes, let's make the PIS 21 and 21 base, so that we're all in the same. Pardon me? Oh, 17 and 17 base. All right, okay. We'll do it that way then. 17 and 17 base seems to be the correction. All right.
That's fine, Your Honour. I just have one further matter for the record. At page 29, lines 11 to 13, my learned friend referred to another document, which was also relevant for person 10. If I could just enter the ERN and exhibit number of that document so that it's clear when reading the record what document he's referring to, I'd be grateful.
Any objection?
No objection.
All right. Proceed then.
The EVD number is EVD T D090064, and at page with the ERN ending 1040, the entry number 53 on the list refers to person number 10 on the PIS.
Thank you. So that will be it for you?
Yes, Your Honour. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Renton. Witness, Ms. Renton has finished asking you her examination in chief on behalf of the prosecutor. Now, it is the turn of Mr. Fowl, who is lawyer to Mr. Ruto. He would also have some questions for you. You are still on the stand as a witness, or rather on the seat of witnesses. So the same advice I gave you before still stands. Listen to his questions very carefully. You also keep in mind that he's doing his work, and the way lawyers do their work in the courtroom is to ask witnesses questions. So he will also be doing his work in asking you questions. Listen to them very carefully and answer them to the best of your ability. Keep your answers short and to the point. But it requires you listening very carefully to the question, understanding it before you answer. Also remember, you've been doing very well in terms of your pace. You have not been too fast, and you have also been observing the gaps. So keep it that way, and thank you. Mr. Fowler, please continue. Or proceed, rather, proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Witness, my name is Esa Fal. I'll be asking you questions on behalf of the defense team for Mr. William Ruto. Do you understand?
Fowl, you can proceed. We don't need. I think you understand. The thing is, how much time do you think you will take in cross-examination of this witness?
Mr. President, I think I should take about 4 sessions. That is my guesstimate. There is a possibility that I may shorten it, but really at the moment it's difficult to tell. But my target is maximum time, 4 sessions.